Brought to you by Hug House Productions.
Will here with another podcast I think you're gonna love. Mother, She Wrote is a multi-genre podcast all about beloved, moving, and deeply influential game Earthbound, or Mother as it's called in Japan. Blending audio drama and nonfiction deep dive, Mother, She Wrote doesn't just look into the themes and craft of the game, it puts you right into the mood and feel of the game. Here's the trailer, and you can find the podcast in our show notes or at mothershewrote.earth.
It happened in the quiet town of Podunk, an ages-old family mystery.
What happened with Great-Grandpa? Why won't you talk about it?
Because there's nothing to say, Ninten.
Begets an unprecedented paranormal event.
Help, brother!
Poltergeists.
My lamp attacked me. It was hovering in the air. It unplugged itself and came at me.
Mind control.
Why is that crow smoking a cigarette?
Okay, we're playing inside today.
Zombies.
I could have gotten out of here on my own.
You were hiding in a coffin.
It was a good disguise.
Extraterrestrials.
You've seen them too? I've been observing them for days.
I beat up aliens with my baseball bat.
Children with psychokinetic powers.
I let that little light of mine shine, Mama, and it melted the darkness away.
And that's just the beginning.
Introducing Mother, She Wrote, a travelogue diary through the biggest cult phenomena in video game history, the Mother series, as it's called in Japan, and Earthbound, as it's called everywhere else.
Each episode, we recount the story through immersive audio drama as it's lived by the characters, unpacking the surreal adventures, tear-jerking moments, and what it all means.
If you're new to the series, we'll take you beyond the controller and into the story.
And if you're a longtime fan, relive these tales like never before and learn fascinating new facts about your favorite games.
Find Mother, She Wrote on your favorite podcast player and at mothershewrote.earth.
Welcome to How to Act Fereldan, your podcast field guide to all things Dragon Age. I am one of your hosts, Will Williams, and my Dragon Age is 59 today. Anne, what about you?
Oh, wow. I don't think I can really top that beautiful song you sang about your age.
I believe in you.
I'm one of your other hosts, Anne Baird, and my Dragon Age today is like 12,000. I'm feeling real old today. How about you, Giancarlo?
Hi, I'm Giancarlo, your last question mark host? Who knows? What's that over there behind you? Don't look now. And my Dragon Age today is 40.
Solidly
Solid
40.
40. Yeah.
Just a solid, yeah.
That's so fair. This is our podcast where we talk about all things Dragon Age. We go topic by topic, and typically we would start off with Dragon Age news, but there has been none, which I think will actually probably be what happens most often, given we've been waiting for this goddamn game for 14,000 years. But that being said, Anne, I did send you an unrelated Tumblr post in which somebody was using Airtable to keep track of things in Disco Elysium. For those who don't know, Airtable is like a project management online service, software-y type thing that helps you. It's like a database. It can be a Kanban. You can add links. It can have galleries. It's amazing. And we use it constantly in Hug House. And you told me to put this on the docket. So I am putting this here because it is the closest thing that we have to news.
Yeah. So to start, the one that you sent me for Disco Elysium is in Notion, not Airtable.
No,
but they're very
that was
similar.
in Notion?
It's
Rip.
in Notion. Yes. It's very similar to Airtable, except you can use it more like a
You're
document and write in it and stuff. But the Airtable is relevant to this because this one is used for, it looks like, tracking their quests. Something I don't know anything about Disco Elysium.
So this is tracking like everything that they encounter.
Oh, I see.
So,
persons, items, locations. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I used Airtable when I played Dragon Age Inquisition to keep track of all my quests. And
did you really?
Yes, and the missions that I sent my advisors on at the table, because I wanted to make sure I was efficient with the real life time it took them to do all the quests. So I wrote down who I wanted to send each person, which one I wanted to send each person on in advance, and then how long it would take them so that I could go log on to Inquisition and just send them on a quest when they would finish their other one. And then do that, because I work from home. So I could just log on to Inquisition for 5 minutes and send them on another quest so that it would be done by the time I wanted to play at night.
This is the most you shit I've ever heard.
Yeah, I thought you would appreciate it. And I didn't feel like sending it to you in a Tumblr message would really get across the insanity that I had when I played this game.
It's a little fucking unhinged, and I'm not gonna lie.
I could not imagine having that kind of functional energy in me.
It was set up to send me notifications when they should be done with quests and stuff.
My God.
Wow.
Bruh, set yourself an alarm on a clock.
I was really bored during COVID, okay?
Okay, no, that's so fair. That's so fair. I recently ran my meta through my 120 slide PowerPoint about my ideal Disneyland trip that I made while in a fugue state during early COVID. So I certainly cannot judge.
Yeah. See, the thing I can judge is how have you not played Disco Elysium?
I have no idea what it's about.
That's a great way to start.
Yeah,
that's a great way to start.
You'll probably be turned off to it to start, but then eventually, once the funk runs through you, you're good.
It's so true. It's about the most awful and pathetic man alive.
Yes.
And that's it. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna load up Steam and buy myself Disco Elysium right now.
No. Pirate it. I genuinely pirate it. It was it was created by a communist Eastern European collective that then got fucked over by some executives who are now profiting off of it while cutting off all of the creators from its profits. They want you to pirate it. Seriously.
I just Googled Disco Elysium pirate, and the first thing that comes up is a Reddit post where someone says, "Hello, where can I pirate this game?"
Yeah,
and then
perfect.
3 of the other links are in the piracy Reddit. It says, "Need some help with Disco Elysium." And
good.
We love to see
So apparently that's what everyone's doing.
Yeah.
And here's one that says liberals don't support piracy. So
ew. But leftists do.
Yep.
Let's move on to the Hug House hero of Fereldan. Giancarlo, catch us up. How has your first Origins playthrough been? What are you up to?
I feel like compared to the last few times we talked, I covered so much ground between last time and now that I'm definitely going to end up forgetting a lot of, to bring up a lot of things. But
that's fine.
Wow. So last time I spoke to you guys, I think I was just getting to Lothering?
Yes.
Or Redcliffe.
Oh, Redcliffe. You were going to Redcliffe because you were
Yes, there we go. So I was getting to Redcliffe. So I did the whole Redcliffe thing. Here's what I've discovered about this. I've discovered a lot of things about how I feel about it, both mechanically and narratively. The game is at its absolute best when it is having you piece together a mystery.
Yes. Absolutely.
So Redcliffe with the whole undead and all of that, like super into it. For context, right now where I am left off is I am dealing with the werewolves and Witherfang.
Oh,
And I'm excited to talk about that. But yeah, like these sections of the game have me like super interested in it. I love like talking to people and trying to figure shit out. And it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't know how much choice I have here. I don't know how linear this thing is. So I'm gonna try my best to get an outcome I want. Whether that's possible or not, who knows? But I've loved all of that. Mechanically, one of the things I've noticed as I've played this more and more, which you pick up on it pretty quickly, but like, wow, the game really does love to be like, you're here. This is the enemy you're going to fight 4 million of while you're here.
Mm-hmm.
And
like
accurate.
It's like a really tired DM who has like 17 skeleton statues. And they're like,
Yeah.
you know what? We're just going to use the 17 skeleton statues that I have because they're the only minifigs I have right now.
Yep.
Oh, you killed that? You killed 3 of them? Guess what? 3 come out of this door to the left.
Here.
Yeah.
Keep going.
And it is such a like, I don't want to say cognitive dissonance, but I'm going to say cognitive dissonance because I get very excited to play and then all of a sudden I'm like, why am I playing this game?
Yeah,
When
welcome to Dragon Age.
Yeah. Oh man, it's like they have such good stuff, and then there's stuff like that where I'm like, if they ever do go the remastered route, like please reconsider, like at least give us some variety in the enemies we're fighting in certain areas, and
For
it would go
real.
such a long way to like making the game a somewhat more exciting experience as a like video game.
Yes.
Yep,
That said,
yep.
I'm still enjoying it overall. I think the positives have outweighed the negatives, and yeah. A couple of other things I have learned and big progress milestones. I now have 2 rings from Morrigan, which I think was a bug in the game because we had the same conversation twice. But I like the power it gave me, so I'm wearing them both.
Hell yeah.
I don't remember if I talked about this last time. I think I talked about the beginning stages of it, but it got worse. I somehow ended up dating the entire party without even meaning to.
Yeah, classic.
I had to break up with
classic.
everyone, and it was awful because I did it all at once.
Who did you not break up with?
Alistair was the only one that I was not like in a relationship with.
Did you choose to go down a romance with any of them?
No.
So you just broke up with everybody?
So here's what happened, right? Because like I was in my accidental romance with Morrigan, but of the people in the party so far, I was like, you know what? I think she's the most interesting, and she's also like making weird comments, and like it's time for me to choose. And I'm like, I didn't know I was choosing between people, but okay, sure, I'll choose you. Why not? I accidentally apparently ended up dating Liliana, even though every time she asked me, like the options were like, yes, I want to be with you, like weird, obtuse answer that kind of ignores the question, and no, you're awful, like I never want to look at you again. So I never wanted to choose that answer.
Right.
And so I kept choosing the middle answer, and I guess I just ended up leading her on. I did the same thing with oh god, I'm gonna forget his name. Zevron, yeah. Which I thought he was really cool. I liked his whole energy. I thought it was just kind of how he was interacting with me. There was one singular dialogue choice where I was like, let me play into it a little bit. And then right after I was like, I've made a grave mistake. And then actually, I think that's it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But
Yeah, I'm
it was
trying to
terrible
think of-
because like my affinity with them all just like dropped dramatically very quickly, and I was like, it's fine, I'll give you some gifts and it'll be okay.
You broke all of their hearts. How could you?
I genuinely did not mean to. It was my social anxiety.
That's so fair. I wonder if because I don't remember exactly like the timing of things. I wonder if there will be another opportunity for you to initiate with one of them. If you were given such an opportunity, you think you'd go Morrigan?
I think, yeah, just because it's weird because no, something I have liked about the game is that you see like a personality shift.
Yeah.
Now that we've like committed to it, and I'm like, oh, that's like a nice little detail. I tend to be a very like I don't think I would want to cause the dissonance in the party. I think it's Morrigan for me, unless someone really interesting comes along.
Totally fair. I think Morrigan is with each game, you'll find that the writers 5 million% had favorites of characters they were writing. And I think Morrigan and Alistair are like pretty clearly the favorites of the writers in this game.
Yeah.
Which kind of brings me to like one of my big other realizations. One, fuck the Chantry. We will
yes,
always
correct.
say this. I appreciate like the Chanter's board because like the quests they send you on, I'm like, cool, I'm down to help with this quest. Also, I've discovered, I think, all the little like side factions, which I've enjoyed going on those like mini quests. That's fun. It ticks nice boxes in my brain. But I kind of think I don't like Alistair, if we're being totally honest.
Oh,
that's so fine. I want to hear your thoughts.
It was okay because like it started with because the first like next person that you find is obviously Morrigan. So like they're always bickering, but like you know what, she's not being easy to deal with either. So I'm like, it's fine. I just don't like the things that he chooses to pick on her about.
Yeah,
because it's very Chantry-ish.
Yeah.
And then it keeps going. And then it was in Redcliffe that really got me, right? So for people who need a refresher or like haven't played the first game. So in Redcliffe, basically there are like all these like corpses coming to life and like attacking, and there's people in the castle and you're trying to get them out, but you don't know because this town needs your help. Point is, you make it in and you find out that this little boy has magic in him. And basically his mom, who is the wife of the Arl, does not want anyone to know because she doesn't want to have to send him away to the circle. Which, you know what? Fucking fair. Like, why is that how that has to work?
Fucking fair. It's a bad system.
Yeah. And so, long story short, she ends up hiring like a secret tutor who was also like a spy assassin dude sent. Shit goes wrong. Little dude ends up getting possessed by a demon. And so that's the cause of everything. And the one way that we can kind of try to get rid of this is essentially going to require someone to sacrifice their life, right? So like we can, I'm trying to remember all of the options we had. Basically, we can just deal with the kid. The mom asks, hey, like, what if you cast this magic? Because we do have a blood mage here. And like, I will give up my life so that you can try to save my son. Which like, fucking, I would hope that would be anyone's like logical reaction to your son being possessed by a demon, right? It seemed logical. It was a difficult decision. I was like, wow, it's really sad, but like, I totally get it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. We can try the blood magic. We have Morrigan who can do the actual walking through the fade, and we have this dude who can do all of that. I did that. I felt like good about it for the most part. Obviously, she ends up dying, which is sad, but I'm like, it makes sense. It makes sense. I get it. We're good. Like, little dude should not have had to go through that in the first place. Alistair tore me a new one just at the thought of using blood magic. And I was like, I think that was the moment where I was like, I kind of feel like I'm mostly done with you. Like, you're cool as a person, but like, it's like Thanksgiving. Like, I'll sit at the table with you. I'm not going to engage you in any conversations of substance.
Well, so Alistair's a Templar, right?
Yeah, yes. Straight up.
Yeah, so he not like mages.
Nah.
To put it simply.
Yeah. And it's like, I was hoping, like, and maybe there is, like, I haven't fully given up on him. I'll bring him on a mission every now and then. And I'm like, hopefully, every time I go to camp, we talk. I talk to everyone until I'm out of, like, conversation options. But I'm like, maybe over time, we can get him to, like, shift his views. But I've seen, like, no budging whatsoever, which is, I'm tempering my expectations.
Yeah, I think that's so fair. One of the things, I mean, we come across this in like pretty much every BioWare game from what I've seen. You and I have talked about this, I think, last episode with Garrus, where people like adore him. And because I think I just like, maybe because I started playing Mass Effect when I was like 30 or something, like, yes, I think that he is wonderful. He is a cop, and politically, I hate him.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that, like, that's a totally justified reason. There are a lot of, oh boy, when we get to Dragon Age 2, I think
can't
the
wait.
tension between like characters whose personalities you love, but philosophically, theologically, ethically you can't stand, is like one of the foremost tensions in Dragon Age. And I think that to some extent that's intentional.
Yeah.
Not as not as intentional as I would like across the board though. Our conversation in this episode is going to focus on the Chantry, and it took me down a wormhole of Wikipedia pages, and it's so bad. It's so bad.
Let's do it.
Bad. Let's do it.
On March 27th, 2024, Elon Musk was deposed in a libel lawsuit filed by Ben Brody. Musk's lawyer, Alex Spiro, tried to retroactively mark the deposition as confidential, but it wasn't.
Of course I can ask him, do you think you committed actual malice? Do you think you were reckless? Of course I can ask those questions.
The deposition is a new Hug House podcast reenactment of the entire deposition, word by word, in full, taken very seriously.
Things that he did wrong.
But that's the point. That's not what you're allowed
Until he really just can't anymore?
Not what you're allowed to do in the deposition. You can't just get him talking.
The deposition drops on the 4th of July, 2024, with 4 weekly episodes. Subscribe on your podcatcher of choice or find us at hughouse.productions today.
Okay, the Chantry. Here is
them.
Fuck them. Literally, my first note is, so here's the deal. Fuck the Chantry. This is literally a missionary-based colonial religion founded by somebody who did a genocide, and his children who went on to do genocides. So, the Chantry is the primary religion across Orlais and Fereldan, and other regions in Thedas, which is the Dragon Age setting. The Chantry is absolutely inescapable in these games, both like in a literal sense, like they are in pretty much every location you go to except Orzammar, and then also in a writing sense, in that you have, Alistair, who is a Templar. You have Leliana, who is devoutly Andrastian. The tension between the Chantry and other religions is incredibly prominent in the world, and is very closely tied with a lot of the race relations in the world, as well as the relationships between the mages and the public, the mages and the Templars, etc., etc., etc. So, we're gonna need some background here. Now, I am gonna have to pull myself back here continually, because literally every point in this conversation could be its own full episode. It shouldn't be, because I think that most of it is desperately uninteresting, except for me, because I like it. And by I like it, I mean my brain chews on it like a chew toy. Not even like a food, just like a chew toy.
Do you think someone would, like everybody has their thing. Do you think somebody would like ASMR of you just reading the codex entries from Dragon Age? I feel like that's somebody's something.
Man,
I mean, we can clip them out of the stream if we're being totally honest, because I've done it for every single entry I've found.
Yes. If somebody wants me to record any of these rants in an ASMR style, tell us and we'll put it on Patreon.
Yeah.
But if it's sexual in nature, pay me more money and we'll put it somewhere else.
We'll lock different points behind different tiers.
Yeah. The other tier will just be ... but it's sexual. That's the tier name.
Yeah.
The highest paying tier, you get pictures of dragon feet as you listen.
The dragon ages for those are all 18 plus.
Yes.
It's a silly show, this one.
Now let's talk about something serious. Fantasy Church.
Fantasy
Yay.
Church. So, the lore behind the Chantry is extremely detailed. Like, extremely detailed. And terrifying. But one thing that I think is fascinating and is consistent across all of the games and across how the lore is written, both like in the codex entries and in the conversations, and then later on as the games go, as events unfold. Everything that regards any religion and most history is told through extremely unreliable narrators. We get this a few times with codex entries where people are contradicting each other. It is a plot point at certain points in the games. So everything that I'm going to talk about here is like, just imagine an asterisk after everything I'm saying. And unlike a lot of things in BioWare games, it is actually very, very intentional, and I think that's fascinating. So, as always,
It's like real religion. There's
just like real religion, actually.
Wow.
There's an asterisk
so
after
immersed.
everything.
And especially prone to pointing these out as they ask me for fascinating cult documentaries, and I give them the most chaotic ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's start with our main girl herself, Andraste. So Andraste was born to a well-off family, but was later conscripted into slavery in Tevinter. To put this into a timeline, so the name Dragon Age comes from the actual era that the games take place in. We are in the period of the timeline where you'll have like a date number and then dragon. We are in the age of the dragon. Andraste was born in -203 Ancient, so I don't really know, like, a long time ago. A long time ago was when Andraste was born.
Does -203 refer to from year Dragon Zero, or is it from year zero Ancient? So in an even older age still.
Correct. It's to zero Ancient. And then
oh god, there's
yes.
There's multiple calendars.
Yes, that is correct.
pulled
There's multiple
up- I just
calendars for
pulled
like
them up.
different cultures and what have you. But in the Andrastian calendar, I believe Ancient ends when the first divine is appointed, which we'll get to, at which point we get to like 1 something else.
So like a direct thing with like before Christ.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that is, in fact, a great way of thinking about Andraste. She is sort of a cross between like a Joan of Arc character and Jesus. I think that if I'm not mistaken, one of the early inspirations was like, if we had listened to Joan of Arc, it would be Andraste. So Andraste needs her own full episode. Like, there is so much to go into there, but a few important things. Andraste started this new religion of a single god who she calls the Maker. She considers herself the bride of the Maker. And then she also has a quote-unquote mortal husband named Mapharoth, which is creepy. She went on several religious campaigns across Thedas, trying to unify everyone to worship the Maker versus their own polytheistic religions. So the holy text of Andraste is called the Chant of Light. It is written as a chant. It is basically the Bible. And one thing that is super important is that the Chant of Light has gone through several revisions up
So,
to
like-
when the game starts.
So like the Bible.
Yes. One of the most important revisions that like sparks my theory brain, which I don't usually have anything spark my theory brain, but this always does, is after a post-Andraste massacre of the elves, there is a whole section edited out of the Chant of Light about Andraste's like right-hand man in some of her political and theological
Escapades,
insurrections and decimations of cultures. This right-hand man was Shartan, who was an elf and led the rebellion of the elves. And that section about Shartan is completely removed out of the Chant of Light in modern ages, in comparison to like where we start the game. And these are called dissonant verses. They are just considered like, oh, that's probably nothing, just removed. So that's fine, and it's normal. And
Yeah,
again,
totally.
was edited way, way, way after Andraste died. So, keeping that in mind. Andraste did one of the so-called exalted marches. These were, the like big holy wars, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So Andraste was trying to unite everybody under the worship of the Maker, largely through colonization and warfare. And she was enslaved in Tevinter, and she and Shartan, along with the elven slaves and others in Tevinter, waged this holy war against the Magisters. During this holy war, they were doing pretty good until Andraste's husband, Mayferoth, who cares? He turned Andraste over to the leader of Tevinter, Archon Hessarian, for execution in exchange for peace.
Great.
Yeah, so he was just like, this is a lot. Some tellings will say that he did this because he was jealous of the Maker and Andraste,
Mm-hmm.
but more, I think, smarter accounts say that he did this because he thought that Andraste was being very tactically irresponsible and endangering more lives with the way that she was carrying out this warfare. So, who's to say? After this all... Go ahead, Anne.
I have the Wikipedia for the Exalted Marches pulled up.
Do it.
And I just saw a line that Andraste was betrayed by her husband, Mayferoth, whatever his fucking name is. She was taken to Minrathous, which is a city in Tevinter, and burned alive while he was granted much of the lands in southern Thedas. They just fucking gave him land.
Yeah.
He took Fereldan for himself. You
He did.
asshole.
Yeah.
He fucking turned her in and then took all the land?
Uh-huh. And then, while she was being executed by being burned alive, Archon Hessarian saw her suffering, felt really guilty, stabbed her so that she would die faster,
Mm-hmm.
and then converted. Like, then he started worshiping her.
He was simping real hard.
Little too late, man. After the Exalted March on Tevinter, as like a thanks and also a like, hey, you probably need somewhere to live and not be scared, the elves were given the Dales, which is a region in Orlais. And the elves congregated in the Dales to try to repair their culture and go back to worshiping their own gods. So they did not convert to be Andrastean. They did not worship the Maker. They worshipped their own gods instead of Tevinter's whole deal, which is, again, like a separate episode.
Yeah.
And importantly, the elves were not nomadic. This is where they lived. So, Andraste dies, and then, like, a whole ton of shit happens. There's, like, plagues of darkspawn. And then, I don't know his exact birth date because I didn't give one, but closer to the end of the Ancient Era, this guy, Cordelus Dracon, which is...
Metal last name.
Yeah. He a dragon boy. He essentially is the first emperor of Orlais. He is from Tevinter royalty. He was, like, appointed for reasons. I don't care about this guy, really. But notably, he founded the Chantry. So This fucker. So this is hundreds of years after Andraste died. I guess it's like 200 years after she died. And as a young boy, he thinks that he is getting visions from Andraste to unite the various disparate cults of Andraste across Thedas. So at this time, there is not a unified religion. There are people who are still worshipping their polytheistic gods. There's like a few other human races who had their own deities and what have you. And then there are humans who know the story of Andraste and worship her in these like little cults, but they're not unified at all. So he says, okay, I'm gonna unify you forcefully.
Hey girl, I'm gonna unify you.
Don't do that. Absolutely not. No.
So around -15 ancient, he is going around, quote unquote, unifying these cults largely through horrific warmongering. He completely decimates totally non-violent cults for like literally no fucking reason. He eradicates the worship of the old gods, which is the like Tevinter religion throughout Fereldan and Navarra. He is just taking everything over, and he's just doing the Christian thing, like straight up. And then his, I think, son, the next Cordelus Dracon, this is the second.
There's two of them?
There's two. There's a
They're
whole
all
bunch.
fancy royal bitches. So they gotta name
prequel games
themselves
where we
after
get
each
to
other.
fight them when.
Yeah, truly. Just go back in time and stab the shit out of them.
Yeah.
You know? Hold up. Dragon Age 4 theory? Dragon Age 4 theory? Dragon Age 4 theory? We'll see.
They're not. They can't. They gotta give us.
They can't.
They can't.
They're cowards. They're not going to.
They won't. People would be so mad.
We have a lot of shit in place. We have a lot. Okay. So this the second motherfucker, he is like, hey, hold up. There's still like a whole huge group of people who don't worship the Maker. That's the elves. We should probably fuck them over. So he sends missionaries, and they're like, hey, no, we're good. We're chill, actually. Then he starts sending Templars, and then they're like, okay, that's pretty fucked up. They start a band of knights called the Emerald Knights to fight back and protect their land. This whole section is, again, very explicitly in the games told by unreliable narrators. I would say on both sides, but I don't typically believe that oppressed minority races who have been historically disenfranchised and, subject to genocide, I don't typically believe that they're in the wrong. So, all of that being said, the elves fight back and gradually start moving into more Orlesian territory and march on Valroyo, which is the capital of Orlais. It is essentially Dragon Age's... oh my god. I'm
Right.
Italian. The Pope's house?
Oh, yeah, the Pope's house.
The Pope's house?
I've been there.
The Vatican.
Remember it?
I was trying to remember the name for the Vatican, and I almost said the Chantry.
The fantasy, the real life Chantry, you know. That's the one. I've physically been there, and I was like, yeah, that's the place. I can't think of what it's called.
Oh, damn, you hung out with the Pope?
Yeah, man, we're bros.
Oh, boy. So they get to the Pope's house, at which point, essentially, they are completely overtaken by the humans of this area. The Orlesians fight back really horrifically. They take hold of Halam Shiral, which is an important place you will hear referenced at the games. Halam Shiral is the elven capital of the Dales. This is where they have, like, their political meetings and what have you. This is where they have huge events. Halam Shiral is an extremely important, arguably holy city for the elves that is very closely entwined with their reclamation of their culture that has been decimated and their gods who have been taken from them for a very long time. They make a last stand that they are doing in a tradition that they call Dirthavaran, is I think how I'm going to pronounce that.
Mm-hmm.
The area where this last stand is taken, that is sort of like it's a suicide mission, straight up. Like, they know what it is. That area where they did their final stand is now called the Exalted Plains in Orlais. This is a location that you can travel to in Dragon Age Inquisition. And likewise, another very important location in the Dales is the Emerald March, where during this siege, essentially, in preparation for defending themselves against the humans, the Emerald March was a forest where they planted a tree for everyone who vowed to protect the freedom of the elves. And after the slaughter of the elves in this war, those trees essentially went from, like, a representation of a living soldier to a representation of a soldier who had died, and is now called the Emerald Graves. This is also a location that you travel to in Dragon Age Inquisition. It is my favorite. It is extremely beautiful, and once you know the story behind it, it is extremely sad and infuriating because in recent years, people have been like, well, we've given them enough time. We should move. We should move in there. And you can find Orlesian architecture throughout the Emerald Graves, and it is extremely fucked up. And I will say, I think that it is some of the best environmental storytelling BioWare has ever done.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
There is another fucked up thing that I don't believe you mentioned. And it is
gimme.
Halam Shiral, the elven capital, is shortly after they took it over, it became the location for the Orlesian nobility's winter palace.
No.
I forgot. Their winter palace. You know,
the winter
their
palace,
bonus palace.
Not the main one.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Orlais should burn.
Yeah, and you do go there in Inquisition as well.
It's a huge...
It's my least favorite mission in Inquisition.
It is my favorite mission in Inquisition.
We have opposite play styles.
I have the opposite play style of everyone else. Nobody likes this quest but me. So, that is the history of Andraste, the Chantry, and the Elves, but we have a few, just like a little bit more
There's always more.
There's always more to go through here. So, going through our glossary a little bit more, the divine is somebody that you'll hear referred to pretty frequently. The divine is the Pope. She is always a woman. There have been a lot of divines, but the most recent, the one that you will encounter in these games, is Justinia V. Taking a name as a divine is like taking a name as a pope, I think, where like you get a different name that has like symbolic meaning, and there's like lineages, so that's why she's the fifth. That's not just like straight up her real person human name. That's how popes work, right? I'm Italian, I really should know this.
I have no idea.
Cool.
I think so.
Yeah,
From my limited knowledge, I think so.
Like this is
Wait.
like when we were growing up, it was like Pope John Paul III or something, right?
Yeah, he
they
looked
do
like
the same
Palpatine.
thing.
Yeah.
So that's how much
And
we know about
acted like-
religion.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Did you know that the divine Justinia served in the Valence Chantry in Orlais? Did you know that?
Huh?
The Valence Chantry.
I'm mad. I'm mad, but more importantly, the version of Liam that I played in Inquisition is incandescent right now. So alongside the divine, few more bits of glossary. So the Inquisition is a historical thing that obviously comes up again in Dragon Age Inquisition. This was like from just after Andrastean times. This group came together and sought to, and I'm going to quote directly from the Wikipedia here, sought to protect the people from the, quote, tyranny of magic in whatever form it might take. Blood mages, abominations, cultists, or heretics. So that's awful. Once the Chantry was established, the Inquisition was like handed over to them to basically become their cops. And that is where we get the Templars. And we also get a group called Seekers of Truth. The Seekers of Truth will come up much more in later games. Essentially, the Seekers of Truth are the keepers of the Templars. So when Templars start going ham on that lyrium, which again will be its own episode, the Seekers of Truth come in to be like, hey, chill. Or they come in to be like, hey, do more harm, actually. Do more copying. Usually they do that.
Why is it that any group that names itself after anything related to the truth always turns out to be the biggest shitheels you will ever meet?
Yeah, I think it's the same reason why you'll have laws that are like, like the Protection of Innocence Act, and then you look and it's like, we will give every CEO $500,000 billion more dollars every year for fun, and we will kick a child in the face, like,
for innocence.
Right.
Yeah.
Propaganda.
Yeah.
The beliefs of the Chantry, are nothing. This is what's so funny about these games, is that like they have all the history there, and then once they have to answer like why, or like the real like meat of it, they're like, So
wink.
So the biggest thing is the Maker is the only god. He is a very extremely jealous god, and what we need to do is get everybody to worship him, because he is jealous and pissed off that people like other gods more, which is extremely hilarious.
If you can't handle the
and
Maker
pathetic.
at his worst, then you don't deserve him at his best.
That's it. That's the Chantry. You got it. Other beliefs are that magic is like an inherently corrupting force in most iterations of Andrastean belief. So The original quote in the Chant of Light is that magic is to serve man and not the other way around. This is why the Chantry started the circles. But Tevinter, who also believes in the Maker, but does not believe in Andraste as a prophet, if you are seeing parallels, that's correct. And if you are very extremely deeply concerned about those parallels, that is correct. So Tevinter breaks off because the Chantry wants everybody to be in the circles if they're mages. And Tevinter is we've literally had mages in the government forever, and it's been very good and fine and smart. Peace out. That's why Tevinter broke off.
I respect it.
Other tenets are don't hurt people without cause, and liars are bad, and humans are sinners, and that's it.
Yeah, but everyone else is bad also, but humans are sinners.
Right.
Well, because everyone else is a liar,
Oh, right. Of course.
So that is my big sum up of the Chantry in, I think, as little as I can do while still being somewhat comprehensive.
Yeah, it only took you an hour.
First off.
Thank you. Fuck these guys, man.
For real.
So while I was writing this, I was struck by two main things. And I kind of already talked about it. One, the history and these characters who were involved is so in-depth. It's very intentional. I really love the interplay between what one group says about, certain events versus what another does. I love that after a political leader decided elves were bad, all of the good things about elves were taken out of the Chant of Light. I think that's fascinating and very accurate. And then, we get to the actual beliefs, and it's fully nothing.
Yeah.
So for me, that makes 3/4 of a good fantasy religion. Because I think diplomacy. I think that largely most massive organized religions definitely have tenets of morals and a very deeply rich history and story, and not much past that in a very unified way. We can talk about different denominations having different beliefs and interpretations. Even church to church will have different ideas on what these all mean. Different pastors will say, what different things all mean. But that being said, it does feel a little lackluster, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think my gut reaction with a lot of what I've seen of the Chantry so far, at least in and I'm sure I will see much more and get much more detail, but at least in this first game, up to the point that I'm in, my main complaint is I'm just it's too real. It's just the Pope.
This is just the Bible and Christianity.
Yeah.
And good, thank you. I get that.
And I think that's part of the reason, going back to what we said earlier with Alistair, it's part of the reason why I'm I think you're pretty funny, but
this other part of you is big enough that I kind of think it just makes me not like you, period.
Right. I feel like if I went back and played the games now that we've had all these conversations, I would feel so differently about so many things.
Totally.
Yeah. And it's especially when you're with you're dealing with fantasy and magic and all of this, you have so much more room to play, and you can still draw parallels, but you can kind of exaggerate it and do these really awesome cool things, right? What makes a religion cool, right? Your God's got to do cool shit, huh? we don't know about
Yeah.
much that the maker does necessarily. I mean, I guess making reality's kind of cool, but then like,
But like literally his job is to do nothing because he's throwing a fit.
yeah.
Like,
And so it's
hello?
like, for fantasy, like you can do this, you can have the holy wars, like whatever. Yeah, it sucks and it's uncomfortable, but like instead of making it so close to like our world, why don't we have like actual gods on the battlefield, like doing cool shit and like turning people into like monsters or whatever, right? Like,
Well,
I feel like that would add just enough, or I don't know, maybe, right?
I think that next episode, just following in this line, can I get to talk about the Elven Pantheon?
Please do. Please
Okay,
do.
sweet.
I think we have to. I think we have to follow it up. We have to give as much time to the Elven Pantheon as we did to this nonsense.
Oh, baby, I'm going to give more.
Great. That's what they deserve.
It's so true.
After they went through all of this shit, I think they deserve it.
Totally. Yeah. Absolutely.
I hear Will frantically typing. I'm curious.
Yes. Giancarlo, have you done the quest, the Urn of Sacred Ashes?
It is, as soon as I finish with Witherfang, it is what I intend to do next.
Okay. If you can, try to knock that one out before the next time we talk.
Okay.
I think that this conversation sets up that quest really well. Really well.
I have actually really been looking forward to it because I read a codex entry about it super early on. And I was like, oh, at first I was like, for sure the game is going to have us find these ashes later. And then enough time passed that I was like, oh, I guess not. Because I read about it in like another entry. And then when the whole thing with the Arl was going down, I was like, oh, we're definitely going to have to hunt down these ashes. So it's there and I'm definitely ready to do it. I don't quite remember how I ended up involved with the elves and the Witherfang thing. And at this point, I'm like, please, Witherfang, let me talk to you. I don't want to keep killing your people. I'm sure there's a good ending to this. Just let me talk to you.
I love that quest that you're on. I think it's very fun. I don't want to say more. I think that everything that goes down in that forest is like,
it's very cool. I found the old oak tree very cool.
Yes.
He's awesome. We got our first dragon fight, which was cool.
Hell yeah.
That whole section feels very like Sondheim Into the Woods to me.
It does.
Right? Like there's some sort of like winking at the camera. Like let's do old-timey fairy tale, but with subversion. And I eat that shit up.
And you get like one of the most depressing moments so far, which is you find Daniela out in the forest when she's a werewolf.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I just didn't have the right like tools or what, but like I was trying to talk to her and eventually she just started attacking me and I was like, okay, I guess I have to kill you. This is sad.
Yeah. Oy. Well, on that very sad note, Anne, I hear you've been reading some fanfic.
I have been. So last week you gave me Alistair and I believe it was like Alistair and First Kiss was the exact mission. So we finished recording and I immediately was like, well, time to go on AO3 because that's what I do after we finish recording is I immediately do more stuff for this podcast. So I pulled AO3 up and started looking for some cute fanfics. And I found a bunch. There's so many. People really love Alistair. Sorry, Giancarlo. I know you don't like him, but
I don't hate him.
People love him.
I don't hate him. I'm just not on board with him right now.
I read a lot of really cute ones. And you know what I didn't realize? I think the later games put so many limits on like who can romance who that I forgot that you can romance Alistair as a can you romance him as a dwarf?
Yes, you can.
Oh my god, I will say I had my first like proper romance scene. Which also came as a surprise to me. I thought it was just gonna be like the little kiss animation.
Oh no.
No.
And my dwarf is fucking ripped, dude. Yeah! In his little jock strap, just like bah!
incredible.
Sorry, I just have to call attention to that because it it was in my mind. The image was seared into it for like.
Yes.
But all that to say that I specifically read a lot of ones that focused on Alistair with the dwarf commoner as the romance, because I felt like that was fitting with Giancarlo playing that. They were really cute. I think everyone should just look those up and read them if you need like cute content. What was the one? I have my list pulled up of like the 3. It was one where they like just have their first kiss with Alistair, and then Liliana comes over and is like coming on to the to the dwarf commoner, and they're like, listen, sorry, you're great, but me and Alistair over there, yeah. Sorry about that. And Liliana's all like, oh, it's cool. That's whatever, man. I get it. Yeah. So basically, all the ones with Alistair first kiss are very cute. Thank you. It was a big change from the last one you gave me. Yeah, that was a nightmare. I didn't like that.
I'm so sorry.
And we will link those 3 that you have pulled out in the show notes, as well as the link to Giancarlo's stream, which is twitch.tv/Whimsic Productions. The stream is so fun. It is a very good time. Join us there for sure. And now we come to the most important part of the episode.
Ooh. Oh my.
It's a good one this time.
This is a beautiful Dragon Age, Will.
Yeah. Time to play What's That Dragon Age?
All right. Ready?
As always, first thought, best thought.
739.
Yeah. Anne?
This one feels like I feel this dragon in my soul today. This one's like 5,000. This is a really old ancient dragon.
I'm gonna go in the opposite direction. I'm gonna say he's 7.
Oh.
You know,
okay.
I
now
think,
you, listener.
Now you, listener, say it out loud. We'll
this
hear
Dragon
you.
Age is.
You don't know what this dragon looks like, but we'll hear you and we'll know.
We'll know.
We have to do the Dora the Explorer pause.
What do you think this Dragon Age is?
Great. Muy bueno.
Do you know what that sounds like on my podcast player? It sounds like, what do you think this Dragon Age is? Great! Because I have silences trimmed on 1.5 times speed.
I'm going to put bed music underneath that just to prevent this from happening. This dragon, whose age is anywhere between 7 and 5,000, Anne?
5,000? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is sort of a seafoam green scaled guy, looking at a redheaded adventurer person.
That's
in a lovely little illustration that, as always, we will link in the show notes and put on our Tumblr, which is at Act Fereldan. You can also find it on our website, which is hughouse.productions. And if you have any ideas for episodes, questions, topic requests, fanfic challenges, or Dragons to Age, you can email us at hughouseproductions@gmail.com. And again, if you want to watch Giancarlo actually play not the show, play the game. If you want to watch Giancarlo play the game, you can watch his stream on twitch.tv/Whimsic Productions.
Yeah, we're live most weekdays at roughly 5 p.m. Eastern, save for Tuesdays most of the time.
Save
for Tuesdays, because you're here with us.
No, now they know.
And until next time, fuck the Chantry.
Fuck the Chantry.